The video I decided to pick for my presentation comes from a news story on the coverage of the tornadoes that hit Texas, eastern Texas in the south, and alongside parts of Ohio as well in late March, March 21st through the 23rd to be exact. So, a little bit about this outbreak. Severe storms hit, as I said, eastern parts of Texas and other parts of southern states. Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana got hit pretty hard by a couple, I think one or two EF3 tornadoes. The footage that I picked shows the damage of a high ranking EF2 tornado, which, for those of you who are not as well versed in weather, I'm kind of really into it, to be honest with you. It's winds that are above 100 miles an hour. I believe it's 115 to 135. I have it in this project, so you'll see it later. So these started on March 21st, ended on March 23rd. There were three on a scale. For those who don't know, there's a scale that starts off at U. It's a 5 in terms of tornadoes, U being unknown, which is more of if there's harder. I'm not going to get into the big meteorological terms here, but 5 is the strongest, 0 is the weakest. And as I said, the footage shows Round Rock, Texas. So here's a little bit of the video. It's going to speed through parts of it. So you see different kinds of shots that they have here. It shows the damage, aerial pans, reveal shots, corkscrews. All this kind of happens in this video as well, which is really interesting because you don't really see this from the air. A lot of stories that have tornado coverage really take place on the ground. So you see footage of just the buildings themselves. You never see areas of an entire neighborhood. That's what really made this interesting for me. Now, I followed this storm a lot when it was happening. I had family that I was visiting, I believe, a little bit north of it in Fort Worth, I think is where they were. But I was following the damage. It was really the first big tornado outbreak that hit this spring. So it was interesting to see how it was going to hit eastern Texas and the southern states as well. But also, I really liked how it was shot. There's some text in there that shows that kind of tells the story this way. So it says, like, here's where the storms hit. They lasted all these days. It went through these states as well. But really, the footage is what got me interested in it. And it looks like a lot of damage, but this was only an EF2 tornado. As I have here, 111 to 135 miles an hour. EF3s and anything north of that is when things start getting really bad. In this entire event, I believe there were 2 or 3 fatalities in it. And I believe a little bit above 20 or so injuries. There were, in this video alone, it showed Round Rock, Texas. They got hit by an EF2. Those homes, I believe it was 90 plus homes that were hit by this tornado. So what I really liked about it was just the different extent of the shots that they had. There was orbits, there were corkscrews, aerial pans, flyovers, reveal shots. It really gives a different kind of angle to the damage that happened on this day. And that's the kind of the thing that, drones really help, especially with weather. It gives you a different angle on how these storms impact these towns. Like I said, a lot of tornado videos you see are shot on the ground by cars. Gives you a bird's eye view to see the extent of the damage. It shows entire streets. It shows the houses with the roofs torn apart, some collapsed in. It really makes things interesting to see instead of just another basic drive-by shot or just setting up on the sidewalk and filming that way. However, there were some things I wish that were added to the video. I would have liked to see if it was possible. I know 400 feet is the limit that we're used to. I would have liked to seen maybe pushed higher above, right around that 400 range, so you can maybe see the path that the tornado took in comparison to other areas. I would have liked to seen how it shifts, because with tornadoes they follow a singular path. I would like to see the shift from areas that didn't get hit to the areas that were hit. That would have been really interesting to see. I didn't see very many bad things with the video. It wasn't like they were specifically flying over people. They were flying over the houses themselves. Now, there were people on the sidewalks, there were people on the streets. It didn't look like they did anything illegal. So on that side of on that front, I didn't see any big issue with it. However, like I said, I would have liked to seen a different shot. They kind of focus in the same street, it seems, but there is a wide variety of shots. It switches from time to time. That makes it interesting. At the end of the video, they start showing cell phone footage. So just a different perspective, a different angle. The bird's eye view is something that we're not used to seeing on the daily basis. So being able to use that in coverage of severe storms, seeing the total extent of the damages above and seeing the neighborhoods that were hit is what really made this interesting for me.